This
Well,
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, welcome everybody. Let's go around and have some introductions. Looks like we got a newbie to the group. So my name is Kim. I have relapsing remitting. I live in Des Moines, Iowa. Diagnosed in 2012, and currently on Ocrevus. John, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm John. Um, I have relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed in 2016. I live in Western Michigan, and I'm on Zeposia. And
And
Kim,
did
if
you
I could
need?
have a couple minutes tonight, yeah.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank, thank you.
You're welcome. Tiffany, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Tiffany. I have relapsing remitting. I am on Copaxone and I live in Massachusetts.
And then did you need time tonight to talk, Tiffany?
Yeah, I have one kind of weird thing that I just wanted to see if anybody else has heard of.
Great, sounds great. Frank, if you want to introduce yourself. Oh, you are on mute. My lip reading is terrible tonight.
I don't know how I did that. My name is Frank Austin. I'm from Western Kansas. Uh, I was diagnosed in 1997 and I have secondary progressive MS and I'm not on anything. Uh, I'm a happy camper and I'm just living life.
Did you need time tonight to talk, Frank?
I don't have anything. I already said everything I need to say.
Okay, sounds great. Andrea, welcome back. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Andrea. I have relapsing MS. I live on the North Carolina Outer Banks. Um, I was diagnosed in 2012. I am on a drug hiatus right now. And yeah, that's wonderful.
Did
I
you
don't
need time to talk tonight?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. And we got a new person here. I'm going to totally butcher your name, so please pronounce it for us and introduce yourself. You are on mute, girl.
Have to push the mic. Okay, so you're talking about me. Okay, so my first time joining. After I say my name and everything, I'm gonna disappear again because I'm gonna be eating dinner. And but my name is Yolanda Robinson, and I in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Oh, I was diagnosed in 20 June 2012. I've been on Gilenia, Tesabre, Rituxan, and currently on Ocrevus for since September 2017, and no problem with Ocrevus. Really, no problem with any of it except for like I don't think that Gilenia was effective enough, so that's why I went to Tesabre. And Tasabi wasn't, I didn't really have bad, things with that. I think it wasn't doing enough at the time. So just like moved on to Ocrevus and I'm good. Other
Awesome.
than
Well, welcome.
other than I had COVID in June, but that's no other that's not that's nothing to do with Ocrevus. Then again it is
Mm,
because it makes you immunos, immunocompromised.
I had COVID in December, and it took me over 2.5 weeks to like see and improve, like to get over it. How long did it take you to get over COVID?
Okay, so because I already have a walking issue and COVID gave me a fever, it gave me no walking for a while. So because I was not walking, I was in the hospital. So I basically, it took me 2 trips to the hospital because I did like 5 days and they thought I was fine. Then I came home and like a day and a half, I'm back. So altogether, I spent like 2.5 weeks in the hospital because of the fever and because of the no walking. So let's just say that started like June the 13th. So by the second, I didn't no longer had COVID. I had to do home therapy the rest of July, 1st of August. But I was really pretty good by the middle of July. Yeah, yeah.
Good. Well, welcome. You can stay on as much as you want. It just if you're eating, just mute your mic so it doesn't disturb, and that's all. And we'll come back to you later after you done eating,
Okay.
Yolanda.
Hey, thanks.
Thanks for coming. Mike, go ahead and introduce yourself. Welcome. You're on mute.
And it's clear I don't know how to use all this equipment you've supplied us with, Jim. I'm Mike from Arizona. I've had MS since 98, 97, 98. And I'm through with drugs, and I'm in secondary progressive, and doing okay. Glad to be here.
Did you need time to talk to? I know you didn't have a chance
Uh,
last time.
Nothing that I know of, Jim.
Okay. And then last but not least, Karen, you want to introduce yourself? I know you're kind of walking around.
Kind of walking around is the operative word. I'm Karen in Oakland. Been diagnosed with primary progressive MS, even though I probably had it for 20 something years, but I was diagnosed in 2019. Oh, like January 26, 2019.
Big anniversary.
Anniversary's coming up.
And I don't know if that's really the date because I have MS. I'll have to look it up somehow. Yeah.
And did you need any time tonight?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and start with Tiffany.
So last October, I had my follow-up with my neurologist, and we started talking about the whole pregnancy situation because, not happening. So I have to go through IVF now. Has anybody heard that if you have like a failed IVF attempt, that it's basically like if you're pregnant and you get a bigger risk of having a relapse? Just didn't know if anybody had heard of that one.
That's a
Because I know that
great
they said that once
question.
you have, my neurologist gave me a heads up on this, and I'm like, really? Apparently, after, I don't know if anybody had kids while they had MS and like experienced the relapse after the fact, but they said that, like, I guess when you have children, if you have MS within 6 months, there's like a higher chance of you having a relapse of your MS. But I guess with IVF, if I go through IVF, I can have a relapse with a failed IVF attempt because it's tricking your body into thinking that you're pregnant and then you're not. So I didn't know if anybody else had kind of heard of this or knew anybody that went through this or.
I heard that people who have MS that are pregnant feel the best ever, and if they had it their way,
Yeah,
they'd be pregnant all the time. But I heard
yeah.
after
While
the
you're pregnant,
pregnancy is
it's
over,
supposed to get better, and
more
then
likely to have you're more likely to have a flare, and then you're like, ugh, and they're dealing with a newborn. But yeah, I heard you could just be pregnant all the time with MS.
yeah,
It'd be the
that
best
would be
thing
great.
ever.
But yeah, no, I guess if you had a fail, I don't know if anybody had heard of that or like I said, knew anybody who went through it, but with a failed IVF attempt, like I said, because like they're tricking your body into thinking you're pregnant, you're at like an increased risk of. My neurologist said I might be at an increased risk of having a relapse after a failed IVF attempt,
That
which I
doesn't
was like,
sound
oh,
fair.
doesn't sound fair. Because, it's not like I'm trying, having a difficult enough time to get pregnant. Let's just because everybody's like, oh, the MS won't affect anything. My neurologist, oh, the MS won't affect anything. And now they're like,
Well,
oh, I could actually affect IVF. I'm like,
You're
okay.
well,
like,
not to mention the stress of IVF to begin with, and then a
Yeah.
failed IVF would increase stress. And there is a known connection between relapse and stress as well.
So, yeah, I just didn't know if anybody else had heard of that. So,
It makes sense to me.
I mean, it makes sense. I was just not what I was expecting to hear about. I mean, everything else looked good at my October appointment, but that was just kind of a shock.
I know people who've gone through IVF that don't have MS, and it was not a fun
Right.
experience.
I mean, it is what it. Yeah, I actually had to call my IVF doctor because I haven't well, I got to get back on track with that. So changing jobs, kind of threw a wrench into a lot of things. Now that things have settled back down, it's kind of getting back into getting back up to date with things. But yeah,
That's
just
totally worth it though.
didn't know if anybody had kind of been there. I know I want kids so bad, but didn't know if anybody had been
I mean, I could say something like my dad and be like, ha ha ha, you can have mine,
there. Yeah.
you know, as a like a dad joke.
Yeah. Oh, I hear that my coworkers are like, you can borrow mine for a few days and see whether or not you really want to have kids. I'm like, stop it.
I will
So-
get you a part-time job at a kindergarten, and then we'll go from there.
Hey, I'm working my way hopefully to pediatrics. Getting in the hospital is the first step.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So
Is
that
your
was
is
my
your neuro, is your neurologist Tiffany MS specialist?
yes, I see an MS specialist.
And
I
then
go. I'm lucky that I live close enough to Boston, Mass, that I can go see like the world class Boston doctors.
so is
Yeah.
he talking from experience or just what the literature says? I would just
I'm
be
not
curious.
sure if he's talking from experience. I think it might be more literature. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of patients that are going through the whole gonna have children before they got diagnosed with MS. Most people my age have already had children. So,
Well, I have because it just reminded me when I got diagnosed, if it was January 26th or not, I don't know. But my doctor her mother had MS, and she was just coming back from maternity leave, and then but it's now that you're saying it, it's reminding me of that conversation because I didn't know what was happening to me. I thought I could just go there and maybe get a prescription for prednisone. It might help me walk. I
yeah,
was not expecting to get this bomb dropped on me when I was told I don't have MS. Like, what? But so she said, I just had a patient who's pregnant. Either I think she said pregnant or had a baby. She said, in this job, you don't really get a lot of good news.
yeah.
And that was good news.
Yeah, no,
So,
my neurologist, thankfully, I was with a local neurologist at the community hospital, the one I actually work at. And they're like, oh, we have an MS clinic here. And I'm like, yeah, I'm driving distance from Boston with like world-class doctors. They do more studies and stuff. I'm like, I'm going to Boston. Like, I'm not staying local. And then that was fun running into the neurologist, but they were going to do a lumbar puncture, and I actually had to see a patient have a lumbar puncture done for something totally different a couple days
right.
ago, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm glad that I didn't have to have that done. Thank you.
So fun.
Yeah, no, I had to help a patient through it. So
so,
I
I
remember. Oh,
I just
sorry.
think though, when it's just from the literature, not that you got to ignore the literature, but they have this obligation to tell you what the literature says.
yeah,
I mean, it was just really different than to hear from, I just can't imagine that neurologist would say, well, if she said to me, don't have a baby, that would be kind of funny.
he's not saying that. He's just saying be careful.
Be careful. What does that mean?
It
You
means be
I
know,
don't know.
careful.
I
well,
don't
be
know.
careful.
Or just
Or be
be
or be
aware.
aware. Be aware and keep an eye on your body. Keep
Yeah,
listening to it and be aware that this is something that could happen.
yeah. It's like one of those crazy things too, because I am in such a better place right now than I was the last time I was here, which was what, like 4 or 5 months ago. That like it's just kind of a blow because I'm finally feeling better, and now they're saying, oh, you might end up backsliding a little, and I'm like, I don't want to.
Or you might not.
That's true.
Yeah, you could. All these bad things could happen. Just like when we watch our medicine commercials on TV, and they
Yeah,
tell you about
Death.
gangrene of your underside, and you're like, well, I don't want to take this medicine anymore. But it's
yeah,
like one person had it, so they had to report it.
yeah. That's true.
You got to
I'm
take it
sure
with some.
there's,
Go ahead.
yeah. I'm
That's
sure
true.
there's something like on a Google search. I don't know. I like when I want information, I go to like the MS Trust in England because I just
Yeah,
feel like they tell you more honest.
yeah.
People just kind of talk more
Well,
honestly.
and through work, I have access to like medical journals and stuff, so I can look into it through my work journals too.
And if he says be careful, maybe the only thing is, read it and then decide, do I still want to make that decision? And I think you
Yeah,
do. But
I
at
mean,
least
That's the
maybe
difference.
when he said be careful, he meant like, well, use protection.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't think
that's
I would.
why that's why we can't get pregnant.
That was
Thanks
my
for
only.
sharing, though. That's very vulnerable. So it's
It's
really
a good
thank you
one.
for sharing.
We'll be interested to hear of your journey and how that goes and things. That'll give us a first person
Yeah.
perspective of everything with having
It's
MS and going through IVF. And are you
it's
having
been
flares or
interesting
you're
so
not
far.
having flares?
It's been
Yeah,
interesting so far.
you have to get your booty back into the meetings because you're going to be
Yeah.
all over the place with the hormones, whether
Yeah,
or
that'll
not.
be a fun one.
Well, it looks like we have another person that has joined us. Lady, welcome. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Lady. My first meeting was, I think, 2 months ago, where I met a few of you guys actually. So it's my second time joining. So it's good to see everybody.
Where are you from and diagnosis? Are you on any medications for MS?
From North Carolina,
The North Carolina crowd
diagnosed.
today is just hopping, you guys. You're the third North Carolina in here.
Go Tar
Oh
Heels.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you got it.
Andrea and Yolanda are also from North Carolina, so you guys are representing tonight. East Coast tonight. Oh my goodness. Go ahead. I'm sorry to
I
interrupt.
heard it's a good place to
Cool.
move. So be careful because all these refugees from California will be moving there. Be
I'm coming
careful.
to Massachusetts. Lots of snow.
Um,
And remember,
I
Michigan is a flyover state, so just keep flying over it, California.
yeah, sorry. So I was diagnosed last year in April. I am on Copaxone now, trying to switch to Ocrevus.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I am now.
And then, do you need any time to talk, lady, tonight?
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, welcome. I think, Tiffany, are we all done talking about the pregnancy IVF? Anything else you guys want to attribute before we go to the next person? Okay. All right, let's go to John.
Wait. I just
What? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I couldn't unmute fast enough. I just want to ask. So if you do the in vitro, do you have to take hormone shots beforehand?
Oh yeah.
Oh, so does that have anything to do with would that affect you?
I don't I don't think it's the hormone shots. I guess it's the after effects. Because with the hormone shots, like you're tricking your body into thinking it's pregnant, so it will allow you to for the implantation. So I guess it's more of an effect after because if you don't end up pregnant, then it's like you're tricking your body to be pregnant and then you're not, and it's the not part is the issue.
I think
Oh,
it's
that's why
coming
you can't
down to
study.
the
Yeah.
hormones.
It's weird. I don't know.
Okay, go
Ready?
ahead. Yeah, go ahead, John.
All right, cool. Last time we met, I announced that I was getting a power chair. Well, insurance was like, well, does he really need it? And of course, the wheelchair place were like, he might not need it today, but he's still in a wheelchair today, so let's get him the upgrade. And what insurance said was that you've never had a payment as big as this, so we just wanted to flag it so we could review it. So once I was like, well, when's it going to be done? I'll get back to you tomorrow. And then the next day, like, yeah, no, you're totally cool. But I was just flagged, and that's understandable. I don't even know how much chairs are. Let's say like, of course, insurance is gonna like say a $5,000 or $10,000 thing's happening. But one good thing a bunch of good things came out of that. I now have like an advocate between me and insurance. There's like a new person that I've met her. She's lovely. She was walking the house like, hey, sorry to say this, but you have two bathrooms. and neither are accessible for John very well. So how do you guys feel about one big bathroom? It's like, well, yes, as long as I can get in and out of it. Like, oh yeah, we'll do the thing where it's like low lip, not much going on. And the OT is coming next week sometime to, take a look at all that stuff, and then they'll submit. And Jennifer, the lady that was my advocate, was like, now this takes time to go through. I was like, everything does. And then I said to her, well, we have matching funds for some things. And she's like, ooh, like perk right up. Just like when you say that to someone at the MS Society, they perk right up. Um, so some changes like that are going to be happening. Had an optometrist appointment. Apparently, I needed glasses. And I ordered them from Warby Parker, and that was a success. So I like my glasses, and honestly, like I had no idea how blurry my computer screen was until I slapped these bad boys on. And
A whole new world.
yeah, it is. So I don't remember if it was Andrea or Christy last time who I was talking about tizanidine. It may have been Christy saying that, yeah, I'm on 32 milligrams a day.
Yeah,
So
must have been her.
doctor's appointment. Hey, what's this all about? Can we do more? He's like, yeah, somehow your prescription got a little bit changed in one of your many moves and changing of primary care. So yeah, you're gonna take it 3 times a day. My muscles like, and we got a new bed with a pillow top mattress.
Nice.
Like things, uh, for those of you my age, things are coming up Millhouse, like pretty heavy. Some good things are finally happening after the terrible year of 2022. Um,
Good.
and for the people that said, how long did COVID take you out? COVID put me in a wheelchair.
Oof.
Took me from walking to in a wheelchair. I can still get up and do stuff. Like I went to PT today. Like I did sit stands. I stood for as long as I could unassisted, and that was just over a minute, so that like felt nice. So some good some good news, you know. Also, the biggest news, my wife Melissa got a promotion, so
Woo!
she's now full professor. No more assistant, no more associate. She is full on Professor Smith.
Very cool.
And I couldn't be prouder of her.
That's huge in the academic world to be actually full-fledged professor.
Yeah, like
Not associate, not assistant, like professor.
like professor. Like now all of you are gonna start calling me Dr. Smith. But then just
Are you
one
John
more.
Smith? Does that mean you're John Smith? I knew a guy once with that name.
Like say, yeah, I know a lot of Johns like that. And then one more thing. Christmas money was burning a hole in my pocket at I had to spend that Christmas money, right? Especially when it says like for my in-laws, this money is specifically for you to go to Ludington, which is across the state, and go to the RC shop and upgrade your remote control Jeep. So since it's like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive, that money was burning a hole in my pocket. So we finally went last Monday. Get there, it's pouring out, and they said they're accessible. And they said, yeah, we've got an attachment in the threshold. It was 3 to 4 inches tall.
Mm.
Like there's no way I'm getting in that way. And I'm like, well, damn it. I've been waiting for this. The guy said, well, we do have a side door. Let's see back there. So we're going through the rain around to the side door. And yeah, just right in. And then they moved stuff in their back room to make sure I could get through. And the store itself was very accessible. So that was cool. And You know how remember how like MasterCard did the thing where like new glasses, $200, blah blah blah, $400. And so I said that it's like buy an RC truck, $100. Find out that there's upgrades, spend $200. Know that there's more than you want to spend, another $200. But having a truck that can climb over almost anything, hobbyist. So it wasn't priceless, it was just a hobbyist. Tim, is that Phantom Comes Alive?
Little Van Morrison Moon Dance.
Perfect. Perfect. So yeah, just some cool things. When I got to the shop, the manager was like, "Oh my God, it's you! Like we've been talking online for 3 months. It's you. You're finally here." And then the owner walked up from the back and said, "Well, shit. Now you're in a wheelchair." Like, yeah. Um, I was their first ever customer 2 years ago, and so to be like remembered for that, like, and they even opened up like just for me before their opening day because they wanted to get me in there before everything was germy. So Ludington Hobbies, if anyone needs any RC boats or kites or whatever, I'm a strong guy. So it was just really cool to be able to finally do that and to get out of the town with my wife, and it was a good day. And my socks only got wet twice, but they had a big bathroom for me to change it, so that was good. So who's next?
But I want to know how do you have an advocate?
Honestly, they just called and said, "John,
From where?
you qualify for this disastrous medical response team that we're doing, and so we're assigning you a person to make sure that you're doing well on your meds. Are your meds all figured out? How's your home life? What's going on at work? Just things like that. Just like a whole life review."
But
And then
from where? From your health insurance or from the state or?
no, from my health insurance.
So it's not a case manager. You're calling it an advocate, which could be both.
It's probably a case manager. I just like the word advocate more because
I do too.
I'll
I
tell
want
her
one.
something. I'll tell her something and she'll try to get it done.
That happened
Yeah.
to me once too, John, on one of my insurances. I was like put in the big spender category. So they wanted to see like, is there anything to make her spend less or have her as, balanced as
Yeah.
possible? So
Yeah.
I'm like, is it because I spent all this money on my infusions? Like, yes.
Yeah, I mean, when I was getting diagnosed, I had, like a year or two in, somebody called me, same kind of deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Also,
Well, even
yeah.
when I worked in health insurance, they were called frequent flyers, but that was more like to the ER. But
Yeah.
probably, yeah. I mean, I think because I'll use that term. I go, look, it's not like I'm a frequent fly. I was never a frequent flyer. Now I am,
Mm.
and
The
they don't
the
even
ho-
spend that much on me.
the
I call them
hospital
boomerangs.
intake. Yeah.
You call them what,
Boomer.
Tiffany?
Boomerangs.
No matter how far you throw it, it comes back. It's great.
They go away, they come right back.
The hospital knows me by name now. I go in the front, they're like, "Hi, John." Like, hello to all my fans. Ooh, I had a blood draw. Did I tell anyone about this?
Mm-mm.
If anyone has a blood phobia, you might want to turn off your headphones for a minute, but I'm sure we're all just like, yeah, whatever.
You got
So
a
I was
few
going,
nurses here, so we're good.
yeah, nurses and everything. Okay. So my phlebotomist, who knows me quite well, hey John, hey Christy, um, I have sometimes hard veins to work with. They like to roll, they like to move, they don't like to sit still. And the last time I had blood draws, it didn't go so well. Like it kind of took some begging to get more out. And for the first time I've ever seen, she put in the IV or the line. We got that in, and then she used like in my brain it was a cartoon Bugs Bunny sized needle. Of course it was like 2 feet long, but she put that on the end of the IV and like sucked blood out. And I
Wow.
was like, yeah, that freaks me the fuck out. I can't lie. And then she just started filling vials from other things. It was a really big experience for me, and it was confusing for a while.
What were they testing for? Because I remember when I had my MS test, there were like
Oh,
13 vials of blood that they had to take out of me.
this this,
And I
this
had a
is
friend
nothing.
who was afraid of blood, and I was like, "You better wait outside. I'm cool."
Um, it was just yearly blood draw, checking my A1C, checking my triglycerides, just a regular checkout. My lipids and all those good things.
Do you watch
And
your vitamin D?
from that blood draw, my vitamin D is finally good.
Awesome.
Yeah, like I got that under better control.
Good.
My A1C went up a little bit, but I'll be the first to admit it. I had a fat Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, but when I say it went up, it went from 5.7 to 6.4, which is not a large leap. I can see Tiffany be like, yeah, you're fine. And I know I'm fine. We're not going to change anything, just more diet restrictions like I used to have. And
Right.
when
Just be more
Tiffany,
mindful about it. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, Tiffany,
Just
when I
be
was
careful.
diagnosed, just be careful. Absolutely. It used to be when I first diagnosed with diabetes, it was 9.7. And yeah, now she makes that look. And then 3 months later, with metformin and diet change, I was down to 5.4.
Nice.
I've been insulin independent, no insulin ever,
Good.
but I'll still be careful.
Yes, do. You want to stay independent of insulin.
I don't have to prick my finger anymore.
Let's go ahead and have Tim introduce himself while we got a little pause here.
Tim,
Hi, I'm Tim. I, on occasion, listen to Van Morrison when you guys are talking. I was diagnosed back in March of 2021. Was CIS, now relapsing remitting. Yes, I got to punch my card,
It's
and
official now.
so I'm part of the club now. Yay. My drug of choice is Abagio. And one day they will have me do their podcast. But that's it. That's me. I'm having a good time. I'll be in Tucson on Thursday.
Yeah. Did you need any time
Tim.
to talk tonight,
Oh,
Tim?
Oh, I'm golden. No, I'm great. I'm great.
Yeah.
I get to see
he's
my
listening.
peeps. I'm a happy.
Yeah. Tim, I just had a question for you, but I forgot. Oh, this isn't even a question. Whenever an MS commercial comes on, like Kcentra or whatever, they always say, well,
Mhm.
this is tested with Abagio. And whenever we hear that, my wife and I both say, Abagio. I've gotten her doing it now.
See, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to change the world. We're all going to say it the same way.
Right. Oh, yo.
I'm good though. I need nothing. I've got everything I need. I got to laugh, so I'm happy.
Good. I'm glad you're able to join us tonight. Anyone want to say anything else about what John discussed today before we go on to the next person? Okay. Karen, you are up.
Yeah, well, talk about losing your independence. I'm just keep losing more and more. It's not even depressing. It's more like I don't have an advocate other than me with my impaired cognition. So that's a little scary. Like my right hand's much more paralyzed. My right knee it just locks. So 4 years ago, there's a scale. I forgot what it's called with MS, like a mobility scale, EDSS or something.
Yep.
Is that what it is? And
Yep.
I from 0 to 10, and so 0 is you're fine. I was, like I was. I told my therapist, yeah, when you met me, because she met me a long time ago, I was 0. And then I went from, maybe a little wobbly to a cane, and I don't have all the numbers in my head. And then, wow, then I got a foot brace. And that was 2019. I think I went to that appointment in 2019 with a cane. I didn't have to use a cane, but I didn't want to pay for parking. So I had to walk a little bit because I was still easily walking. And yeah, and so now I'm at 7 where you have to use a mobility device. I'm like at 7.5. And with my right knee locking, well, how do you walk with a locked right knee? And I'm headed to 8. So I mean, in 4 years to go from 0 to 8, and 9 is you bedbound, and 10 is you're dead. And it's like, well, I'd like to go to 10 without going to 9. So it's just, it's a lot to put in my.
I wonder if you can call your insurance company and ask if they have any advocates.
No, they don't. I went through this when I first got diagnosed, and people would say, you need an advocate. And it's like, who could be better than me for, that kind of stuff? And then I had my thyroid taken
Or
out.
a case manager, not an advocate.
Yeah, they don't have case man. I mean, I went in 2018. Like fall is when they started poking around. What's the hell's the matter with me? And then they decided I had something on my thyroid and took out half my thyroid. I told someone that story today who had a friend going for thyroid, and nobody knew. And the thyroid, the people would say, well, did they ever figure out what's going on with you in neurology? And neurology would say, did they ever figure out what's going on with you? And I had a new to me doctor, and we didn't have a good rapport at that point. She didn't say anything clinically wrong, but she's like, well, Miss Browder, this is Dr. John, and if you want to find somebody else. I said, look, this is not the time for me to doctor shop. You're the first person who mentioned neurology. You're on the right path. Why didn't you refer me to neurology? And so she did. And then this whole thing of, neurological, thyroid, whatever. And I had anesthesia for the first and only time. And I will never have it again. Not because it was awful, but because I'm not going to do anything to stick around. And I would have cognitive issues. So by December, I think I met her in August, September, and all this poking around. And by December, I didn't recover for a month completely from the anesthesia. And it's just because I was really smart and sharp before. I didn't know I was a genius. So then when I just behaved like a little less than what it was, oh, you're fine. Even the neurologist, the first one who misdiagnosed me, said, I don't see anything wrong. It's like, wow, you really know what's going on in between my ears. Like, just because I'm still competent. I mean, I still go through that. But so my doctor, she's my doctor now, and she's my advocate, thank goodness. But, I'm glad I was smart enough not to dump her, nor the neurologist. That, just because you had a little, it's not warm and fuzzy. I don't need doctors to be warm and fuzzy. I need them to be competent. Like, if you're competent and you care. So I remember I said, I need a case manager. And she said, we don't have them. The next day I called her up. It was like the very end of December. I said, well, then what about a social worker? Or whenever that happened, it was the very beginning of January. And the next day I got a call from a social worker. And I could tell in her voice that she was calling to tell me that she couldn't help me. I could be imagining that. Well, she and I were like this. And so she was my advocate, and she was wonderful. And she had time. It's not like people who have, I only got 40 minutes. I only got a 20-minute appointment. It's a 15-minute. I got to get on the treadmill and go see someone else. She would have time for me. And she left for just for San Francisco. So that's been a loss, but she got me in such good shape, for what I needed. Hey, do you have handrails in the shower? Are you safe? No, I'm not. She just really kind of got me in a good space. And then when she left, I was crying. So I just wanted her to go in peace. I said, look, I wouldn't be where I was. Thank you so much. You just helped me put a lot in place. But yeah, and so my doctor said, no, she said, I don't think you're going to like the new social worker. Like, yeah, she was just kind of incredible. So I guess I'm lucky I'm my own advocate. So my primary care doctor, she's great, and she does this body work on me. And now I go like every 2 or 3 weeks, and she lays hands on me and does like cranial sacral. She's not supposed to do it. She said, I just make an exception for a few people because she just, yeah. And so we started talking about, what John said, wheelchair. I said, well, the last time I saw you, my knee, when I left, I felt better, but I noticed my knee's been locked. And she did something to straighten out my leg. And I said, I don't think it's what you did. I mean, I think I just noticed. She said, yeah, I don't think so either. So she's really been carefully, and beyond the fact that she's an osteopath and really like holistic and believes, pays attention to my body and sees more than the average person sees, probably sees more than most of you see. Like, yeah, you're getting weaker. So she did some testing and she said, yeah, your hip joint's weaker, and then she was gonna maybe refer me to the physical therapist, but I said, you know more than she does. I mean, there's nothing I can do to make this go. It's just it's just doing it. It's just doing what it's doing. So I do feel fortunate, like in that way. And it would be good to have an OT visit at home, but that became a nightmare last year. And there is a rehab doctor, a physiatrist, and then I said, well, I don't know. That turned into a nightmare. The physiatrist referred me for home care. Then the home care person said, I can't see you. It's like, so she's she goes, no, we don't want to go there again. How about, and I said, well, but the mobility guy is really good about wheelchairs. She goes, okay, you want me to make a referral to him? But she's the only provider I have besides my neurologist nurse. The neurologist I only talk to whenever I have an appointment with her, but her nurse takes the time. But thank goodness, just my regular primary care just said, no, you don't want to go there. She's helped me with stuff like that before. Like they noticed on my MRI, there's something wrong. My heart is enlarged ever since I've been getting MRIs. And she said, Karen, do you really want to, are you really ready to go to a cardiologist and do whatever it is they want you to do? I was like,
Right.
oh, that's a good point. Thank you. Yeah. So she doesn't just say, go here, go there, do that. So I guess in that way, but it's just frightening, really. I'm home and I'm alone, and
Yeah.
I'm one step away from falling and hurting myself. And
Yeah.
You keep a cell
Hey,
phone near you so someone, if you do have that happen, you can get help.
I mean, I passed out from dehydration a couple of years ago, and someone happened to call me who I didn't know. I just knew her from like online about ukuleles, and she said, I'll call you. And she happened to call me that day, and I had already passed out in the bed. I didn't know what happened, and she said, you were really loopy. So she never called me again. I went, why are you calling me? You've never called me before. And she said, I went on like this loop for half an hour, and I didn't. I have a kind of a crazy neighbor, but I couldn't find his number, and she's just spent like a half an hour I was trying to email my next door neighbor, but I was loopy. So it's like, do you have someone to call? Well, when you're loopy, you don't, or when you're kind of passed out. So then that neighbor did come over, the crazy guy. She somehow found his number, and he came over with the other neighbor, and he goes, well, I'm not going in there by myself. Like, I don't know what I'm going to find. And so, I mean, there's sort of, yeah, and there's two women that live next door to him, and he said, well, I saw them, but then I saw Michael come home, and I know you're more comfortable with him. So they came in, and it was during COVID and a heat wave, and they were like, yeah, I think my neighbor brought over Gatorade or whatever. But yes and no, and I have a neighbor around the corner who helps me with stuff. But in practicality, like, wow, here's your
Karen,
diagnosis, lady. I mean, here's your diagnosis, lady. Go figure it out.
yeah, yeah. Did you ever get your chairlift or the?
That was, I do think preventively, and I'm really glad about my primary care, because when I do that body work, she just like knows there's always something going on with me. Like I had itchy skin. She goes, I think it's just dry skin, and she keeps up with me. Otherwise, I'd really be lost. Um, She said, no, it's not bugs, it's whatever. But she when we talked about the wheelchair and when I was looking into getting the lift, it was preventive. Like I don't wait until the very last moment, and I needed it 3 months ago because it
Right.
takes that long. Yeah, I don't need the wheelchair now. Like I have a portable wheelchair, but yeah, and I hadn't been swimming, and so that's not good for me when I don't move. But I got back into this dance practice that I do, and Saturday, actually, someone came to pick me up because there's a big healing circle, and I was actually able to, like, if they hold my hands, because we go in a circle, part of it, I was able to do that, and I moved, beyond the pool, like I moved for the whole hour and 15 minutes. And the next day I stood taller, I felt better. I've been going to online with that. And then today I woke up and I was like, I'm just declining. But I got back in the pool.
I'm
It was like,
starting
yeah, it was
aqua
like 62. I
tomorrow.
was like, I can do it. Yesterday I was like, I can't go. And usually by February it's never freezing. So, I'm doing the things that you could do to preserve, and I'm still declining. So it's more just
Karen,
sucks.
you just said that it's freezing. Do you mean like it's freezing like 65 degrees out?
No, no. Yesterday it was about 58. It was freezing. That's a little too cold, and it was windy. I can't go to the pool like that.
I understand what you mean though. Like, yeah, it's too cold. Well, it's 70 degrees out. Well, yeah, but it's not 70 degrees down by the lake. Sorry, we do lakes around here. Michigan
Yeah,
has a
now they would
billion
be
of them.
cold. Yeah, they would be cold. And the pool is heated to 82. I had a friend who said, I have the 82-82 rule. That's not my rule. She said, I only go swimming if the outside temperature is 82 and the water's 82. So I used to not go swimming in the winter, but I last year came up with, okay, when it's 60, if it's 59, and then I walk slow. So when you get out of the pool, it's like, this is the worst part. But yeah,
What are
Man,
you doing, Karen, to help you with your grieving of your loss of independence? And at the same time, what are you doing to keep yourself safe? And if the next step happens sooner than it always happens sooner than we're ready for, we're never ready for it. What are you doing
yeah,
to get you ready for the
exactly. I mean, I think
potential next phase?
well, it's what Andrea said. Did you do anything about the lift and about getting at least a deck so when I leave my house, I'm not stepping down some steps. And I just couldn't deal with it the last few months. I did look into it and I did go to the MS Society. And they were like, well, just because your steps don't work, that's like a home repair. I said, my house is 100 years old. For 100 years, people have been able to get up and down those back steps, including me. Anyone who comes to my house has no problem getting up and down the back steps. But I have a problem because I have MS. And she's like, well, I don't know. Well, that was that. So then I started looking into the lift, and I did look into it. So I have information, but it makes no sense to get maybe up to $3,000 for a lift that costs about 5,500. The one that I want. I mean, at least I have that, the one that I want. But they'll only pay if you go to some licensed, registered, whatever. And I did get in touch with so I've gotten bids from people. I went through that nightmare of people coming out and they just go, how much money can we get out of this one? You know what we can do? We can tear out your walls. We can fix your bathtub. We can do all that. Okay, that's not what I'm asking about. Oh, we don't do lifts, but we can put in a 26-foot ramp. It's like take up my whole backyard. Okay, that makes sense. I don't want a ramp. So I realized it's been the anniversary of about when I reached out to the Center for Independent Living. So I did have somebody come out. I did have somebody do a home assessment. I did look into those things. So that was like way ahead of time that I needed so that I've had, like you're saying, Kim, what are you doing to ready yourself? It's just going, okay, what now do I do to put in place? So it's not completely blind. And yeah, I was going to have somebody build me a deck because I had a guy who Didn't get back to me. I mean, he knows how to do it and he could do it. And he wanted to sell me an old lift, which really I don't mind. I mean, in terms of this particular lift. So I've gotten different advice and I read a lot about different lifts, and I don't really want an industrial commercial lift for me, for one person. I rather have a max lift. They're kind of see-through. It doesn't feel as overwhelming.
Yeah.
But so I had different bids, and then I went to this one company. They're women owned. They seem really good. I met a guy in a wheelchair near my pool who said, "Oh, call this place," and they recommended this other place, and they sent me a quote for $20,000 to put in a
Whoa.
lift. That doesn't include anything. It didn't even include prepping the site. It didn't even include where am I going to put a lift? I need a deck put in, at least a platform. So she said, and then so then they said, oh no, that's just a starting. We can come down from that. So I had the woman come out. So I feel like at least I did do this kind of stuff, like really
Yeah.
digging deep.
Yeah, no, that's
And I was
good.
going to tell her to cancel it because she had to come like 90 miles or 50 miles. I don't know. And then I thought, no, I mean, if you're going to charge that much money, I'm going to take your time. And I told her the kind that I wanted. She said, well, we don't usually do that, but we could do that. So then she gets back to me with a quote for a lift that you could buy for $5,500 online. 16,000, and that doesn't include anything but their commission. So it makes no sense with it. So the whole thing was discouraging, except especially with MS Society can help you with $3,000. It's just to spend 16,000. I could just get it all done for 10 or 8 or whatever, so. But yeah, it's more the independence that's pretty frightening because I notice I don't really go very far anymore. I just stay in my neighborhood. Fortunately, there's a lot of good ethnic restaurants, stuff like that. And I like feeding myself. And I have a lot of online activities. So I feel engaged, beyond this. It's like, I just have a lot of things that I do and I feel engaged. And then the reality is like, I like being alone. I'm not alone because I don't want to be alone. I don't live by myself because I don't want to live by myself. I don't feel lonely. I've always known how to take care of myself. So the thought of even having someone help me, it's like, yeah, someone said, why don't you just get a personal driver? It's like I don't want that. I like being on my own. So that's, yeah, I mean, you can't solve my problem. Thanks for asking questions. And
I think a lot of it's just controlling, knowing what you control and what you can't control and taking care of yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally. Because I mean, every time you have a change or a decline, you're immediately thrust into grieving process again.
yeah, I don't feel like I'm there. I probably could be, but like the knee locking is, it's just
There's
low.
definitely a lot of fear I'm sensing in you. You're fearing about the potential stages and sensing that things are like the knee locking and issues with cognition, and it's just like
Yeah, the
you feel
cognition
it
is,
feels like you feel like you're on the cusp of it. And
well, the
it's
cognition is troubling, but I understand it. Like I don't freak out anymore. I don't, I don't know. I couldn't find my daily driver. I couldn't find it. It's like sometimes it comes here near the computer. It was in my kitchen. I'm like, where would it go? How could it just disappear? Did I put it in a cupboard somewhere? Um, what did I? Where did it? Where could it be? Is it in this room? And it's harder to walk around the house. It's just more steps. I think about it. Do I want to take those 4 steps to go there, or should I just wait? And I don't freak out about it anymore. I just have to wait until I figure it out. So the next day, I opened the microwave and there it was. Because I was just beyond going, where did that go? Right? I used to keep cough drops somewhere and then I couldn't find them. And it used to work for me before MS. I go, if I was Karen, where would I have put that? Like if I lose my keys or something, I look and look and look, and I couldn't find them. And then I go, if I was Karen, I go, well, if I was Karen, I would have done, and it always worked, but that doesn't work anymore. So yeah, thanks for asking that, Kim. But it's more, yeah, we're noticing. It's more, I'm noticing. accepting what's going on.
But emotionally, it's still a lot to process and take in. That's not an easy thing to go through at all.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
yeah, my leg
you
is,
get used to the new normal and you're like, I can do this. And then it flips on you and you're
yeah,
just like,
exactly.
what? You're just like, you know.
And I've already been used to the new normal of not being able to take many steps, so pretty much always using the walker. It's a long walk to go to the pool from my car. It's like, yeah, I haven't really driven to Emeryville, haven't met up with my friend in Castro Valley. She came to my house. That I'm not going very far. I'm just in the neighborhood. And it was raining a lot, so that was a good excuse. But there's no denying, no, I'm not okay. And then, Karen, you seem fine. Look at you. You're just great.
I hate that you seem fine for this.
Sure, everybody I saw you walk. I mean, you saw me hold on to I know what walking is, you freely swing your arms, you see people walking, and I can't do that. And I started this writing group from one of the online things that I do. Yesterday, it's a 4-week session, and it's for seniors. And this woman read before me what she wrote, and she said that she's walking with, like my story, that she doesn't have balance, she doesn't know why, she uses a walker, she can walk for a mile, she's embarrassed to have a walker. She's just sharing that, and we're not supposed to comment on other people's things, but I thought for her, I have to comment. Because when I read about what's going on with me and I don't remember what I wrote. I have it, it's written, but it was something about that, yeah, look how far I've come, that I'm not, yeah, I remember that feeling. No, I'm not embarrassed to use a walker anymore. I'm not even embarrassed of the thought of having a wheelchair. Not embarrassed, but what? It's those tears that John had.
Dag nabbit, I get to lose another thing to a thing that I've already lost so much to.
Yeah, I mean, to go from 0 to 7.5 on a mobility scale in 4 years.
What have you gained?
Oh, I've gained a lot. I do write about that and I do talk about that. And yeah, I've just gained a lot of things. What I've gained is I feel more centered. Like you're saying, I feel more centered than most people I know because they're trying to figure out what to do with their life. And it's like, I'm not. Should I get up today? I don't know. I stay in bed a lot. I have a lot more fatigue. Well, what should I do today? Should I get up? I don't know. I think I will. Maybe I'll go. No, you're not going to go swimming. What am I going to eat? My days are very much about mindful. There's not a lot to accomplish, but you are reminding me, Kim, that I do need to accomplish that step of figuring out getting that lift. Or I still haven't called that guy, but I looked up his number today. I'm like,
Well, what's the most important thing for you in the next phase? Because I know you would love to stay in your home. Like, you leaving your home is like not something you want to do. So to get you to a point that if you continue to reach another stage, that you can stay in your home and be able to leave and come and be able to do everything you need to do to live by yourself is very important. And I don't want to see you lose that because certain things were
I
in a
fell. Yeah,
place. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I think the reality is, because I do think about it a lot. The reality is, I don't know if I should be living alone now I'm okay, and I'm in this room, this is just an extra bedroom, and I keep it pretty light so that there's a room, or I might move into this room. That's another thing I think about. Oh, maybe I should move into this room. It's a few steps closer to the bathroom, and maybe I should have somebody live in the other room. And so I think I'm thinking of those kind of things, but I've lived alone always, except when I had a foster daughter, and it wasn't because I didn't want to. So that's
maybe you need to learn to be more mindful where your cell phone is, or get the, I don't even
My
know what they
cell
call
phone,
the
my
emergency
cell phone,
buttons that you wear on
yeah,
your neck.
no, my cell phone stays in my purse charged up so that when I leave the house, I know where it is. And I bought a purse that fits over me. Like today, I went to the pool and I went shopping and I went, where's my purse? And it's like right on me. I don't even have to take it off when I put in my seatbelt because I don't need to tell all of you. Would you know where your purse was? Like, it's just like, it's on me. That's where it is. I do put things like that in place. Like, what can I do to do that? And I guess I'm trying to open. I actually did talk to someone I know. Not that she's looking to move, but I thought, well, what if I had somebody live here who just had an independent life and then pay someone to do the things I need done for me, but just so that I'm not alone. And I used to have a thing with my crazy neighbor, but he's kind of crazy. And he goes, Karen, at least, can you open up your blinds every day so I know you're okay? Like, I don't have that thing with him anymore. So
That would also help supplement your income for rent or.
yeah, it's
Wait,
not. It's either someone come and stay here, but I don't really want that. I'm not saying I won't do it, but at least acknowledge I don't want that. That's not what I want. I don't want to have MS. I don't want to walk with a walker. I don't want to wear a brace on my leg. What, go out with a cane? I don't want to walk with a cane.
Sometimes you learn to be okay with it with time and through a
Yeah,
big adjustment,
yeah, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to take up any more time. I just want to lay that out there because I even think all of you think, Karen, you seem fine.
Karen, never have I ever thought you to be fine, to be like doing okay. Because you know what? You got this shitty disease that it feels like to me that no one wants to work with you to help you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One thing that you reminded me of, Karen, total aside, when you were talking about the scale of like mobility and things like that, and this is on my desk too. Do you guys fill out the NARCOM survey quarterly? Do you know anything about
What
that?
is
Have you
it?
heard of it?
No,
Okay.
never heard of
And
it.
I'm probably saying it wrong, NARCOMs. I'll put a link in it. It's a publication of North American Research Committee on Multiple Sclerosis. So what do? Is they send you a survey quarterly, and then they show you like people's, select during COVID, like how are people doing and things. It's you just take the survey and they ask you like that question, and it's just a way to get information in a input from a bunch of people with MS in North America. Let me pull it up and see if I can put the link in the chat.
I never used to fill out surveys like that, but then my last sort of main job, my big job was 3 days a week, which I've never worked a whole lot. We did surveys, and I was like, ever since then, that was one of my jobs, like collecting the data. And so ever since then, I'm like, okay, I'll fill out the survey.
It's a nonprofit. It's not a drug company or insurance company. It's
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
Everything's anonymous. They don't
yeah.
match any.
I
And they
never heard of that. That's just another thing of like, okay, lady, you have this disease. Go figure it out.
send you the little
And then they give you the
quarterly newsletter.
results.
Well, they do on some things, and they'll talk about certain topics like future
So do you like
focus.
it? I guess you like it. You tell me.
Comorbid health conditions. What does that mean for people with MS? So they're talking about diabetes and depression and stuff like that. How
Sounds
is
like a
your
little
mental?
more meat than momentum.
Say that again.
Sounds like it has a little more meat than momentum.
It has more data from just surveys that people do. So
Yeah.
it's just interesting. It was something I got into a long time ago, and I was like, oh, I don't know.
I
Gene
love
studies,
numbers.
vitamin D, standing frame. Yeah, so it's just, and it's
I
not that
like
big.
I like data. And
Yeah, I'm a sciencey person, so you guys know how I
yeah.
am.
Thanks for sharing that, Kim.
That was
Oh yeah,
cool.
you're welcome. I put it in the chat, and I don't know if I'm saying it right in our comms. I don't know.
I think you are.
But that was
So
one
then they,
thing. Go ahead.
yeah. So what kind of what kind of stuff do they?
They'll ask you like, are you on a disease modifying drug? If so, when? How long you been on it? When did you last take it? They'll ask you the disability scale, and they change every quarterly. They'll ask different questions, and it's just interesting. Like when COVID came out, they were asking people, have you had COVID? What were your symptoms? Have you had any vaccinations for COVID? And just seeing, the data. And then since they're in their system, they can track long term. If you do it every quarter, then they can track how people are doing. Like, are you still relapsing, remitting? Have you changed? Do you have any decline? Has anything? So it's just kind of cool where they can pull a bunch of people's data who have MS, which is kind of cool.
But then they share it with you. I mean, that would be the whole.
Well, they
reason
share
why.
some of it. Like, it's not like they're putting it, to a public, group. They're not being, super technical or anything like that. So something interesting. You can go to their website and see what they've published or whatever if you want to sign up for it. They can send, they want to do paper surveys, they'll send you a paper survey. You can do it on the computer. They at one point they did wanted you to measure your waist, so they actually mailed you the little tape so you
Wow.
could measure your waist for one of the questions. That only happened once, but that was interesting. Well, one of the things that we were talking about, what have you gained? The one thing that was really apparent, I came back from Belize on Saturday, guys. I went out with my girls again, and I was out swimming with sharks and sea life, so I was having a good time. But the one thing that I found really interesting about the trip about myself with MS is, so I love being in the water. I love the sun. I absolutely hate putting on sunscreen. Absolutely hate it, hate it, hate it. So I should show you guys a photo so you guys can laugh. So I wear swim leggings because I hate shaving my legs and I don't want my shaving my legs a barrier for me getting into the pool. So I wear swim leggings, and then I wear a rash guard that goes down to my, wrists. And then because I have short hair now, yes, unbelievable is a common thing they say up there. I wear a swim cap so I don't get fried on my head. And I got a hot pink one because I want to be able to be seen in the water. And the thing that I found very interesting about the trip is we're at this beach. It's kind of like a party place. It wasn't super bad. That wasn't crazy. But everyone else is like in bikinis and swimsuits and swim trunks. And I look like a swimmer / diver out there. And the second place we went kind of had a little rocky front. So I put on my scuba diving booties. So now my feet are totally covered. And I'm out there, and you guys know I love to dance. And this place is shallow. So they have like picnic tables way out in the water that the servers will come up because it's like just chest height. But the picnic tables are the legs are longer. So I actually was dancing on picnic table in the middle of the water, and it was uneven surface. I'm like, it's the afternoon. I have MS. I'm tired. I'm on an uneven surface that is very wobbly, and I'm dancing in this goofy outfit that I look, and I just don't, excuse my words, I just don't give a shit. I'm just doing myself. I'm just my whole person. I'm just totally being me and having a ball. And the thing that was so great about it, everyone in the group was having a great time. I did start the dance party there. I just want to let you know with my one of the other friends in there. Where was I going with this? But I was just really amazed that previously I would have felt super super self-conscious being like in this totally weird outfit compared to everyone else. But instead I'm just like, this is who I am, and I'm not going to be ashamed of it. And I just felt very secure in it, and it was just very nice. I know that person that, the person that wears all the funky things that doesn't quite fit in, but we're like, oh, that's kind of cool, whatever, they're in their own person. And so I will show you this picture. The friend in my group takes amazing shots. And so this is my dismount from dancing on the kitchen table into the water, not kitchen table, picnic table. So see that? That doesn't look like I have MS, guys. Look at that.
That's
What?
awesome.
I'm flying off the picnic table. That's my dismount. Look, I'm touching my toes. You see my booties? My
Oh,
swim
hell yeah.
pants, yeah, and my swim pants on the side are like blue. So I'm just friggin' obnoxious neon on this thing. But it was just
You
so,
did that jump and you got someone to take that picture?
yeah, a gal in a group. She had my camera. I actually took my. I'm very paranoid. I do not feel comfortable leaving my valuables on the lounge chairs and then go wading in the water. I just can't do it, guys. Sorry. So I had a dry bag and I took my stuff out there, and so I gave her my camera when her friends were a group. I told her my password so she had any problems, and she was video. I have great pictures of me dancing awkwardly, but I can still really dance. But the fun thing about it is the gal that was taking the picture. It was her son's 10-month anniversary of his death, and usually that's a big thing every month. And it wasn't until the end of the day she's like, "Oh my god, this is anniversary," because she was having such a great time. And she found me and the other gal dancing, and the other one, three other people in the group were dancing on the tables. Just found it such an enjoyable day, and it was just fun to be a part of that and just letting myself do what I want to do without like being freaked out, like, oh, what are people gonna think? And what are people thinking? And I was like, no, I want to dance on the tables, and that's what I'm doing because I love dance. There's great music, and even though it's wobbly and
Are
uneven,
you,
yeah,
are you wobbly, Kim, when you walk?
not usually unless I'm tired, but this table, because it had the really
Oh,
long
it's
legs because it
wobbly.
was far out, yeah. And then there's this really great picture too. So the one gal in my group loves to do headstands in random locations, okay? So I decided I would do a headstand
I
on
think we all have that friend.
the picnic. Yeah, you know that friend. You know that friend.
My
So
sister-in-law.
you have that friend. So I actually did a headstand on a wobbly picnic table. Like, I don't
Excuse,
know,
excuse
50
my
feet
French. I'm
out
gonna.
from the shore or something. So yeah, it was fun, but it was just a complete eye opener. And then like we decided for fun that we were gonna bring muumuus down to Belize and wear them because some meme that they showed us of people, and I wore it out in public, and I didn't even bat an eye, didn't even bother me. It was just goofy and it was fun, and I'm just like having a good time. And the other guys, one of the guys was like, I love hanging out with you because you just really bring out my inner child, and I'm like, fantastic. But I don't think I would have been as, I don't know, I don't want to say cut loose, but just as
Un-
freeing as I was if I
Uninhibited.
uninhibit, like, but in a good way. Like
Yeah.
I'm not a person that really drinks or like, I just things I love to do, and I don't be like, oh, is people gonna get weirded out if I'm at the ice cream shop and I'm dancing to girls just want to have fun? I mean, in a muumuu, I really don't care. I'm just having a great time. So, it was fun. But that was something that was really apparent to me on the trip. I'm like, I look super goofy and I don't care. I'm having a good time, and I didn't get sunburned. The people in my group got sunburned.
Even though you didn't put on the sunscreen?
Oh no, I put sunscreen on my face and my neck and my hands and my feet, but all that other surface area of my body, I didn't have to, and it was glorious, absolutely glorious. Baby Bum is my favorite sunscreen, by the way, guys. Baby Bum is amazing. Their chapstick is amazing. The Sun Bum is the chapstick. But the when I went scuba diving, the guy's like, "Oh, don't put sunscreen by your eyes because that way the seawater will burn." Zero burning, guys. It was amazing. So Baby Bum is where it's at. Not this. I don't know about the Sun Bum. Sun Bum, the lip gloss is awesome. But one gal burned her lips, so I just gave her my Sun Bum lip gloss because she loved it. So I'm like, all right, that's going to you.
So you're telling me that people turned Neapolitan on the trip, where they had like, chocolate here and then just strawberry here with like a hard vanilla, because that's
We're
what happens to me every time I go in the sun.
Yeah, everybody in the group we're northern Minnesotans, so we're all pretty pasty to begin with. I don't know if I'd win the pasty award. I think my one friend might be a little pastier than me, but I'm pretty light skinned with the dark hair.
Oh,
But
hey there, the sun is sure hot. It's not like at
yeah,
home. It's got to be 70 to 80 degrees warmer than at home. Being from
but they
Michigan,
did
I have
have
my heat
some.
lamps. Yeah.
Some of them did have some burning issues, and
Oh
I did
no.
not.
Oh
I
no.
did not. It was great. No frying. So, but it was really fun because I always have this fear when I go to a hot tropical place that I'm going to have massive issues with the heat sensitivity and the humidity. And we stayed uh, off the shore. We stayed on the shore, and so we had all the wind. Our unit was completely air conditioned. I was essentially completely wet for 3 days between the snorkeling, the scuba diving, and the partying on the beach where I was on the picnic table. And then the days that we were in town, I put my cooling vest on and good to go. So
Did you
it was,
see any people from Belize?
oh yeah, oh
Well,
yeah.
I
But
don't know. Like you
you
went
know
somewhere.
who vacations the most this time of year in Belize? Canadians.
Oh
Massive
yeah,
amounts of
yeah, yeah.
Canadians down there right now.
They're always
Massive.
in the Caribbean. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the only Spanish speaking, like you said, the official language is English. The only one in
Yeah.
Central America
Yeah.
that
It's
speaks
not
one.
Spanish speaking.
No, it's very beautiful. It's very beautiful turquoise color, very shallow and beautiful sand. Like you can usually just walk right out. So
I'm
I
going
highly
to Puerto
recommend.
Rico for a wedding next month. I'm a little nervous about it.
What are you
Where are you
nervous
going?
about, Andrea?
Where are you going?
Puerto Rico?
Oh, nice.
Yes,
Why
I
are you
mean,
nervous?
the heat and the travel and the activity, and I don't want to be the bump on everybody's log.
Where are you going to be in Puerto Rico?
I don't know. The western side of the island. I know that much.
Mm.
Um, I think we're still looking for. So I'm going with my friend and her two daughters, and the girls are like 14 and 18. And um, so obviously, Lisa's kind of getting a room, and we already got the plane ticket, so we got that far. And she's
Are you flying into San Juan or flying into Aguadilla?
Aguadilla.
Oh, so you're probably going to Rincon. It's like where there's a whole. It's not that hot in Puerto Rico in January.
Yeah. And there's like two layovers. The flight is gonna be a pain. It's gonna be like 6 or 7 hours just to get there.
Is it multiple lakes or one direct flight?
It's not a direct flight, right? And I don't remember. I think we're going through Florida, but still, there's like 4 hour layover in the airport, and because yeah, I mean, it seems like it should be a really quick and easy flight,
Yeah,
but
it's like like that. It's not that far away, but
right,
yeah, if you have a 4 hour
exactly.
layover, which you might need because if they're late or whatever. Well, then
But
you'll be
one of
fine.
my friends that lives here, she and her fiance go to Puerto Rico every winter and spend like 3 months surfing there. So they're all really active people. And
Well, you won't be.
I
You'll
know, I
just
usually get
be.
away with with sitting on the beach and just
There'll be a pool.
watching.
At least Aguadilla. I've been to the west side of the island. I had a friend from school. She sent me a while back. I've been there twice, but a friend of a friend, and then so I hadn't seen her for a while, and so I got this really cheap. Goes, Karen, I always thought you'd come back, so I got a really cheap flight on Thanksgiving Day to
Nice.
Aguadilla, and but I had to lay over in New York. And she said, "Oh, Karen, you're not going to recognize me, and I got arthritis and that." And so then I start explaining what I look like, and she goes, "Karen, I think I could pick you out of a crowd of Puerto Ricans." It's like, "Oh yeah, there is that." It's just this one flight. They'd have like two flights that go into Aguadilla Day or one. It's like, oh yeah, that's true. I am the only one because on Thanksgiving I flew to New York to JFK and I was like, nothing's open. There's no food and it's just me and then the Dominicans. It was like there was a flight to the Dominican Republic and PR and it was like, and me. Oh yeah, she'll recognize me.
That's funny.
Andrea, does the heat bother you? Do you have a cooling vest of some sort?
I do. And last summer, I had it in my freezer out in my garage, my second freezer, with some meat and some other things like that. And the power went out, and I didn't know it for days. And I've tried everything I can to get the stains out, but there's little spots like pink and brown and green spots, and I can't get it out. But yes, I have it and I still use it. It's just, I don't know. I
Do
was
you
just
wear
looking
it over
for,
your clothing or under your clothing?
yes. So it sort of depends on when I put it on and how cold it is up against my skin. So sometimes I'll wear like a tank top under it and then maybe move the tank top over it after I've warmed up. So
When
yes,
when when are you gonna go? I just looked up the weather. Well, I like the warm weather, but it's
it's
like
the
it's
end
in
of it's the end of February, so I think like around the 26th of February.
so now it's like in the 70s and it'll go up to like mid 80s.
But that's not
It's a
too
good
bad.
time to go.
As long as the humidity isn't too bad. I know I haven't been to I used to go to take my mom on a cruise every winter, and I haven't done that in so long. And so I do kind of miss the Caribbean. So I'm excited for that.
Do you have either an electronic handheld fan or a manual one that you can have access to while you're traveling? I know one of the gals in my group, she got really overheated and that really helped her out a lot. And I carry a handheld fan. She had a chargeable one that she loved.
That's a really good point. I bet you I could get one ordered from Amazon in no
I can
time.
look up the one that she did because it just had a charge and it lasted a long time overnight. She
I
was
feel like
really
I remember ones that from I don't know, 30 years ago that had like little spritz water that would come out of it too. I'll look for that.
I'll
Well,
see if
if
she
you're gonna
texts
go
me
in
back.
February, and I was there in no Thanksgiving, I went for a couple of weeks, like the end of November to beginning of December, and I just because it's cold in the Bay Area, even though for some people it's not cold, but when December, coming at the airport, coming home from there, it'd be cold, and so I just thought, well, I need like a jacket, something like I need like a little jacket for the plane ride and for, whatever, being in New York, even though you're in the airport. And then I just brought sleeveless. So I was cold all the time. And I was calling my friend. She's like, Karen, oh, you could come to Puerto Rico and complain that it's cold. It's like, well, I have just sleeveless, I didn't think so. She like we traded. I think she gave me like a short sleeve shirt that she didn't like because it was plaid. Because she's a Puerto Rican, they don't wear plaid. I still keep that shirt. And I
Well,
had some
that's a
like,
good point because Lisa bought the plane tickets and she's like, you can pay $60 to check a bag if you want to, but that's not included in the airline. It has to fit like in a, I don't
yeah.
know what, 14 by 18 carry-on size. Um, and yeah, so yes, I was planning to only pack tank tops, shorts, and a bathing suit.
Well, I was surprised that I got chilled. And then I'd be out at night because it was like Thanksgiving right after that. It's like Christmas time. So they have these music events all over, like at night at the plaza, different places. And we went to different places. And I did feel like, well, I just want a little something to cover up.
Yeah, so that's a good idea
And
to
it
bring
wasn't
with
the
you.
rainy. I don't know. I don't think it's the rainy season. I think you'll be good.
I hope so.
Having myself pretty much covered in wet fabric in the water really kept me cool. I almost get chilly with the wind sometimes, especially on the boat. I'm like, oh. little cold.
Oh, because the material would hold the water in a little bit.
Well, I mean, it's, what is it, like lycra, like spandex? I don't know.
Mhm.
You know, the
Yeah.
leggings are essentially like glorified biking shorts without all the crotch padding, essentially. You know, so
Mhm.
I mean, it will, if you're in the wind long enough, it will dry off. But I mean, that I was so amazed how much I didn't have a problem. But like I said, like for 3 days, I'm like pretty much in the water all day. And then when I was in town, I wore my cooling vest. I also have like a neck gaiter I got from Costco that helps, you know, if you've seen the cooling. I didn't use it, but I had it with me. The cooling
Okay.
vest was plenty. I actually used it on my friend because when she came to Belize, she was just super overheated. She took an ice cold shower. She still was overheated. So I put the cooling vest. I didn't put it on her back, but just laid it on her stomach and then put my extra packs on her legs. And she's like, "Oh my God, Kim, this is the best." I'm just like,
So was
"Sorry
it
it took me
humid?
so long to remember I had this I could help you with," you know.
Oh,
Is it is
that's
it
good. I feel better. Yeah.
is it humid in Belize now?
It is if you're not by the ocean. If you're in the town where you're not, you know, super near the water, then yes, it will get. The girls, two of the girls one day decided to walk the dogs at the shelter, and they said it was really hot. And I'm like, I knew there's a reason I didn't go. So,
Mhm.
So yeah,
but
The,
Puerto Rico, it doesn't rain. It's like not the rainy season. The best time to go is like December to April.
oh, good.
So, and it's not the rainy season at all. And it's like in the low to mid 80s.
and take advantage of those lounge chairs. Like laid, I would, you know, be a recline and I would put it all the way down or almost all the way down, you know, if they were
Mhm.
just chilling by the pool or something. Cause for me, a lot of times I have to recover, I have to lay almost completely flat. And that helped me a lot. And a lot of it too, endorphins, just be aware when you come back, you're going to recover longer than what you think. Like, oh, I did really good on the trip because like today I came back Saturday night, spent the night in Minneapolis. Then my husband drove. I didn't have to drive. Drove back Sunday. So Sunday, Monday. So we're on day 3. And I thought I'd get more stuff today done. And my body's like, nope, it's time for you to rest some more. I'm like, really? Like, yeah, really. I'm like, all right. Like, learn to listen to my body. So like, all right. So I'm still not completely done unpacking yet. I've got most of the stuff cleaned up except for my snorkel and my booties and stuff. But just make sure you give yourself plenty of time to recover
That's a
because,
good point. I should take off an extra day, if not two.
yeah, take a time
Yeah,
off. And then
and
another
you don't
great,
have the
just,
time, but do you have the time difference? Not too much. It couldn't be.
well,
I don't think so.
she's
I'm East Coast.
Eastern. She's
Yeah,
I'm
Eastern.
East
yeah.
Coast. Yeah.
And the other, because I just went through this, Andrea, this give you the other thing too is pre-pack ahead of time. So like the issues that take me forever to pack are like all the drugs I take and like because I take little
Mhm.
baggies of like ibuprofen and Tylenol and Bennett, like, you know, recovering pharmacist, you take a lot of stuff. And so try to get everything and start writing a list down because the cognition is like, oh yeah, I probably want that, you know, and that helps out a lot. And try to make your stuff as light as possible if you can when traveling. So, or like for me, this is I will tell this story. Okay, so coming back to the US, when I'm checking in at Belize, I had an extra bag on my shoulder because I had some food. So I had my backpack, my big suitcase, and my little like grocery kind of baggie, the reusable ones. So I had weight on my shoulder. So when I went to check in, there's a guy before you get to the counter where he's asking a bunch of questions. He puts stickers on your back of your passport. So I put down my backpack and I have my wallet and everything, and then I can go continue to line. When I get to the front, I realize I left my backpack with near this guy. And I don't know how much time has passed. I don't know if it's still there or not. Freaked the crap out of me. I'm like, I don't have my backpack. Where's my backpack? And of course, my friends like, and another gal who didn't even know me just takes off, and they find my backpack in like not even 2 minutes, and everything's there, nothing's messed with. But that was a legit fear. I'm like, I have no. It's like, well, I got all my money, my cards, my passport with me, so if they do get lost or someone stole it, it's gonna be okay. But it's just like, why did that happen? Well, the reason is I only carry one thing in the airport, my backpack. And I had now 2 items. And because I had the weight on my shoulder from the other bag,
You thought you
I
had
didn't
everything.
realize I thought I had everything. So for me, for my peace of mind, I only carry one thing on and then I got a new wallet. I usually have like a trifold kind of man's wallet, but I actually went to the bigger wallet, and it is like a really, really obnoxious bright yellow with the idea, and it has a little
Wrist
I don't know,
thing.
yeah, wristlet thing on it with the idea that if I set it down and try to walk away, either I would notice it or someone in my group or maybe the person I made the purchase would be like, yo, you need that. So that's what I did. But I almost like, yeah. But it was like kind of a interesting thing because when I first when I was in Minneapolis, I walk up to the counter and I'm like, whose passport is that? And he's like, oh, it's that person. So right away I'm like, go to her, I'm like, hey, here's your passport. And prevent you from having some stress. So it was just interesting that one of us at one point left their passport. I tried to leave my passport at customs getting out of the country. It was just ridiculous. But I did get global entry, which was really slick when I came back. They just had to like scan my face, print out a receipt, boom, out. I didn't have to worry
Nice.
about because the last time I
Are
came
you
down,
gonna
like,
are you gonna stop the recording? And you
I
forgot to
can.
tell everyone
I
to
will
come
just
back.
say meeting is in 3 weeks. February 14th, which is also Valentine's Day. So if you want to spend time with your honey, will not be offended. If you can make it, fantastic.
But wear red because in March we'll be wearing green, orange.
Yeah. So I will stop the recording now.